Welcome to another How to Succeed podcast, the show that helps you get to the top and stay there. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and Sandler. Sandler is the worldwide leader in sales management and customer service training. For more information on Sandler, we made it pretty easy. Go to sandler.com. You can remember that one. And as always, you can join the conversation if you want in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast here, because each week we talk to some amazing guests who have some sort of expertise, and we ask them their ideal attitude, behavior, and technique for finding success in that area. This week, it's Karl Schaphorst, longtime Sandler trainer from Omaha and Des Moines, and we're going to talk with him about how to succeed at strategic customer care. Here we go. All right, Karl. The topic is strategic customer care. What are we talking about here, and why is this important for success?
Yeah, this is interesting. If you were to look at Sandler's top 10 behaviors, you'll notice that on the list of the top 10 behaviors is this idea of customer service. Like, I do sales training, and I'm always trying to tell my salespeople to not be doing customer service because while it's very important, you're paid to do another function. But if a salesperson doesn't have that ability to delegate or to put that responsibility on somebody else, and they do need to do customer service because it is so important in the life cycle of a customer. The saying is simply this, right? It is much easier and less expensive to keep a customer that you have than it is to go out and try to find a new one. This is why this idea of strategic customer care is so important. And I really believe that we've overlooked it. Many businesses overlook this as just a function they got to have. And it might be costing them a lot. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. The big things are, for me, I think we've done this with so many people over the last years, decades, really, even at Sandler, that nobody likes to prospect. Nobody likes to go out and find new clients and all the hustle. The only way out of that trap is to deliver the heck out of the customers you have, get more referrals, introductions, grow those businesses. We know in today's world with volatility that people are changing companies all the time. So if you have a raving fan at one company because you've serviced the heck out of them, when they leave and go to another one, you can double your business. You keep the client you had and you get that new one because they bring you with it. And so it's really a tremendous way to grow sales. It's also probably one of the ones you said that's so overlooked, that salespeople who are not Sandler trained, that get out over their skis, overpromise in the sales process, and then the only option is to under-deliver when they hand this off to the support team, or it comes time for them to deliver it themselves. And I think there's so many ideal attitudes and misconceptions we can talk about. That's the one that came to mind for me. But when you think about the attitude, where do most people mess this up?
Yeah, I think the attitude is that it's not important. I need to focus on some of the core things. It's amazing how much companies will invest in business development. And I think it's just a misunderstanding, a conceptual miss on that customer service agent. We got to change the belief of that. The customer service agent really represents the face of the company, which means that the experience that the customers that the sales team brings in come through that customer service agent. And if that's the experience they're getting, then they're casting judgment on the business based on that experience, and then making decisions if they're going to invest and continue to invest, or if they're going to switch. I've heard you say many times that the reason why customers leave a vendor is not because of pricing or even product. It's always this issue of TLC. They feel like they're not being loved. They're not getting treated the way they should be treated. They go find someone else who will do that. You know what? Who's to blame for that? I suppose salespeople oftentimes take the blame for that, but I tell you what, that inside service team, they're the ones that are so important. And when I say service team, I'm talking about project managers, service engineers, anybody who's non-selling, customer facing, provides the customer experience. They need to be trained on how to do that, truly.
Now you just nailed like 4 things for us to talk about in my mind. Number one, you queued me up for my favorite joke. You already know, which is how often should you tell your customers that you love them? It's the same as your spouse. Before somebody else does, is the answer, right? So we got to constantly be showing them love and care and keeping up that relationship. Otherwise, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And two, I think it's interesting in today's world, we have had a shift. A lot of people still mess it up, but there's been a shift of instead of the segmented buyer's journey where like marketing is making the phone ring, sales picks up the phone and then closes the deal, and then they pass it off to customer success or the delivery team. That is not really how the world works anymore. You're marketing all the way through the life cycle of the client. You should be selling all the way through the life cycle of the client. And we're looking at upsells and renewals and cross-sell, problem solving, other departments. And then we should be servicing all the way through too. Sometimes our customer services are our best marketers. Like you said, they're the front lines doing God's work there, you know? So how do we think about customer care? Let's talk about the individual rep.
Sure.
I think it's pretty obvious that we want to love on our customers. We want to solve problems. We want to be there. But a lot of times we don't think about the attitude right in the way that it's a skill set. That these are tough jobs. And there's a lot of problems that come up if we don't get our head right and we don't get our skills right in customer success.
Yeah, if we talk about the individual customer service agent, whatever role they might be in a business, where the attitude miss might be is I don't think they have an appreciation of the impact that they have on the success of the business, number one.
That's good.
I think
Equal business stature is a huge part.
Huge part. I mean, should a customer service agent be talking to a CEO of a company? Well, I say, why not? If they bring value, that CEO is going to want to talk to that individual. But they oftentimes think, well, that's not me. And so I think there's a misunderstanding of the importance that they bring and the impact that they ultimately have on the companies that they work for. And then another thing that they do is they just believe that I have a job to do. I have a job to do, and this is it. And so they just work on the task. And oftentimes because of that, they'll when the customer's there, when the customer communication begins to happen, they don't mean to, but they'll communicate in a way that just creates, well, frustration or angst in the customer. And they didn't mean it. They didn't want to do that. They just didn't realize it. And it all goes back to the belief of their role in the company. And so boy, it certainly starts with changing the mindset and the attitude of that individual contributor, that they have a huge impact on the company. Because as you said earlier, if they become raving fans, that not only keeps those customers forever, but then that tends to create organic movement of other customers wanting that same level of service. Oh my goodness, it can have a huge impact on the business. Starts with making sure that the customer agent is aware of how much of an impact they have on the success.
Yeah, a lot of things I want to highlight there. Number one is that equal business stature, that they need to be able to feel like they're bringing value, that they're important and they're invested in, and the company has their back in order to do their job correctly. Yep. And part of that is also then allowing them to take the personal responsibility and authority to solve some of those problems. And that we can't blame it on sales, or we can't blame it on the policy of the company, because we are the company. We're the frontline representatives of this organization, and we're in sales too. So once you start solving those problems, you start also empowering your customer service reps to really do some cool things. And they have the authority and stuff to keep clients, to make decisions, to get that ball moving and widen their scope. So the third one that I wanted to ask you about, and I know at Sandler, this is the one near and dear to our heart, but keeping that antenna up for new business. You mentioned kind of they zone in and they're like, oh, they called me with a problem. Let me fix problem and move on. And we don't think like, oh, is there an underlying issue behind this problem? Yeah. Or could this be an opportunity for an upsell to a higher level product that has these solutions already baked in? And having that sales antenna up is a big one that I think people miss.
Yeah, and look, remember what I said. The customer service agent is that non-selling, customer-facing professional, and non-selling is part of the title. But look, if they're with a customer, I mean, there's opportunities abounding everywhere.
Mhm.
And boy, I tell you what, and this is why I think training really is so important for these people, because I think when they come into the role, they just say, I'm a taskmaster, this is all I'm going to do, and they become very reactive. They just want to do the work and try to get it done. They want to avoid being reprimanded as
Mhm.
opposed to trying to win the favor of the customer. But look, I think these customer agents, service agents can be trained on how to engage with their customer, how to set expectations with their customer. I love the idea of a customer service agent being proactive in the role instead of just
Yeah.
waiting. In other words, preempt, engage the customer when they're not expecting it with value to be delivered. Talk to them about things that are coming up that are going to help them be successful. I think we can do that, I'd be honest with you, I bet you customer service agents would love to do that. They need to be trained on how to do that, how to be proactive, and the value that can then be brought is amazing. And Mike, I think if you and I were just to reflect on those moments when we received incredible customer service, it was always the unexpected stuff, right? It was always
Yeah.
when they went above and beyond that just blew us away and had us thinking to ourselves, man, that's the person I want to do business with. And we always say sales is a relationship business. Do you want to know how to make great relationships? Help someone be successful. They'll love you for life and they'll never leave you. Customer service agents have that access, they have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
And if we can figure out how to do that proactively and be ahead of the customer as we serve them, oh, I tell you what, they're going to be hard pressed to find a different vendor besides the one that these people work for. So that's why this is just such an important thing about developing these people and making them aware of their importance in the role.
Yeah, I think as you moved to behavior there a little bit of
I
being
did.
proactive versus reactive, I think is the great one for me. I'm wondering if you have any other thoughts on the kind of goals, plans, and actions for successful customer service reps. Because in my mind, it's already popped up a couple of times that the really great ones do this already, right? The really great ones are looking ahead of problems. They're coming up with special gifts or thank you notes or special attention to clients. They're proactively reaching out. They
Yeah.
probably also have better communication skills than maybe others, and they're looking for these opportunities, and they want to learn and they want to
Yeah.
give the best
Yeah.
service, and they have that attitude already. But I'm guessing that there is a bunch in this behavior bucket that a lot of people don't recognize.
Yeah, again, because I think we look at this role as primarily reactive. In other words, the customer service agent reports, they're given their tasking for the day, they go out and do it, or they're sitting by a phone waiting for the customer to call in, and so all that's very reactive. And look, a good portion of the role is reactive by nature. But if we're really looking at behavior, and I always think of, what is behavior? It's goals, it's plans, it's actions. Well, so what would the goals be? Imagine if you're going to work, what would a goal be if I know that I bring incredible value to my company and I can bring additional success? What would the goals be? And then establishing KPIs around that are behavioral. In other words, I have a list of the customers I'm serving, and I'm going to make sure I'm reaching out and touching each one of them proactively, and I'll have KPIs set up for that will guide my behavior so that in between things I'm doing enough proactive work to really to raise the level of service experience that my customers are getting, and that would just be one example of how a customer service agent would do the not the ordinary but the extraordinary in that seat, setting goals to talk to customers and have those conversations. And then what would some other good KPIs be that would manage how they move proactively through the day so that the level of service is elevated?
Yeah, I think hidden in your answer there is that you probably need some sort of CRM, some sort of customer relationship manager, so that you're tracking those behaviors are setting the reminders for the calls, and you're not just letting it be reactive. That there's, and we have the whole, care account plan. We're talking about the companies we want to keep here, but there could also be recapture ones, or it could be even in the attain category. They're supporting sales and other people. And I love that bit. Did you ever see it on The Office where they were talking about their customer service and they call Kelly back at the office, and she picks up the phone and says, "Hi, Jim, love you, happy." And then they call the competitor's customer 1-800 service line, and it's still ringing. And as Kelly answers the phone and says hi, and they're just like, "What do you think? Who has superior customer service here?" And I think there are things you can do like that in the sales process and stuff, and these attain calls, and start solving problems that they can be. And especially, as you said, this could be any role. It could be a project manager or somebody with a subject matter expertise, like an engineer or somebody that's supporting here. When we start thinking about these different categories and we start putting clear behaviors, we should be spending a little bit of our time expanding current accounts, making sure we keep everybody happy, making sure we're growing and attaining new ones, and talking really to the ones we lost.
What's really cool about that, what we say, that the optimized life position is not to allow attitude to dictate behavior and drive behavior, because that tends to be reactive. But instead, what happens is that behavior will change attitude. And what I love about this, it might be a little uncomfortable, especially at first, for these customer service agents to be proactive consistently day after day, and to make calls based on what they believe value might be for a particular customer. But I tell you what happens is that once they begin to do that, they begin to really feel the impact that they're having on the company. It begins to have impact on their attitude, and I actually think it increases the fulfillment of these roles, increases the value of the roles to the CEO, to the business owner, and we would want that. So there's a lot of good that can come out of it if we can make that a consistent daily behavioral recipe.
And we can reward that too. I think sometimes, and again, it depends on the position here, but sometimes it's really hard to incentivize these, or just feel like you're paying bonuses on people doing their jobs. But when you start adding these kind of KPIs and they're growing business, you start finding people that really love it, and they go, "Oh, if I help sales close this account, I get a little spiff on the end. I get a little something for my effort." All of a sudden, like you said, that energy starts driving, that confidence goes, "Ooh, I just found this new opportunity at this client, and I'm cut into it." Or even, "I grew the whole company's revenue, so we hit our performance bonus. I get cut in on that." All of a sudden, some of these that may be lower level customer service jobs, or they may be really high performance ones, they start thinking about business development differently, and they start leaning into it.
I don't think it's a bad thing. One thing I know about salespeople, they're always thinking about how the customer service agent is serving their customer, right? Mm-hmm. Because they know that they want recurring revenue and recurring commissions that come off of that customer. But does it go the other direction, right? Does the customer service agent really care about the salesperson's relationship and the impact that they're having on that? And I think it's very healthy, which is why what you said is so important. If they're going to have an impact on their relationship and bring value to that relationship, perhaps as a leader, the compensation should reflect some of that. Find me a salesperson that would object to that. I think they all would be totally on board, especially if the customer service agent grows share of wallet within those companies and grows the company and then keeps them on forever. Goodness, absolutely, we would delight in cutting those people in on that. You bet.
Now, as we move to the technique bucket here, we've already hinted at a whole bunch of them, but what do you see are maybe the common highlights, the best techniques, tools, tips, and hacks, and what are some of the ones that are maybe the common weaknesses?
So again, so when you think of technique, that's training, right? That's what training does. Training teaches the technique stuff. And goodness, you can go on and on and on. So let's talk about what's typical, what the weaknesses are. I think we're putting bodies in seats that might have a background or a training based on the products and services that they're trying to support, and then they go out and do the task. They're very weak on the soft skills that are so important when you're customer facing. I mean, I always tell my clients on the sales side that the bonding and rapport area of sales is our profession. That's our
Mhm.
profession. I actually think that even for a customer service agent, they should be well versed in that because they're dealing with customers. And that art of bonding and rapport, it's just how that customer feels about you in the moment when they're engaging with you on difficult situations, easy situations, just regular service. It doesn't matter because the ultimate objective is I want my customer service agent to work with these customers of ours so that when they hang up the phone, they say, man, I love working with that company.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of bonding and rapport techniques that we train our salespeople that we ought to be training these customer service agents on how to do. We talk about the idea of questions and how that leads to the customers telling stories about the business, and through those stories they paint pictures that reveal opportunity. Man, I tell you what, give me a customer service agent that is really good at just asking questions and allowing that customer to engage and feel like they're being heard and listened to. They begin to reveal new opportunities, which they either can perhaps sell right then and there or throw over to the sales department. And give me a sales department that wouldn't want to get leads from the customer service group,
Yeah.
warm leads that are ready to roll. That is technique stuff. I think when we think of the customer service agent, we're always thinking about the times they get involved is when customers need something and they're upset.
That's
And
where I was gonna go, the okay, not okay, and the pendulum. Can you talk a
oh,
little bit about those concepts and how powerful they are in customer care?
I tell you what, yeah, the customer calls in and says, "Where's my shipment? It was supposed to be here yesterday." And here you have somebody that's just, all of a sudden that's what they get, and they have
Mhm.
to manage that. And without training, I tell you what, you get a fighting match. You get the customer service agent being defensive, and you get a shouting match, and then the customer hangs up and says, "I hate that company," instead of "I love that company." That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
But to have
And that's
these,
kind of the nature of customer care, right?
it
I
is,
always make this
it
joke,
is.
but nobody calls the customer care line to say, "Hey, got my shipment on time. You guys nailed it. Just wanted to say thanks." So like the nature of like working in baggage claim at an airport or something is people only walk in your door if they're already upset. And that's not a great place to be. Those are really
It
tough
is
roles.
not.
And so we have to learn some savvy psychological and communication techniques to disarm people, to make sure we don't take it personally, we keep our attitude up, we don't blame
Yes.
other people. We can fall on the sword, we can defuse a situation rather
Oh,
than escalate it. There's a lot there.
there is a lot there, and again, I just think it takes the customer service agent to be equipped with some of those important tools that we train on the sales side, so that when the heat comes, they don't jump into the drama. Instead, they diffuse it, and they move the customer from a place of persecution when they're coming after you, attacking you, to a place of intellect where solutions are born and solutions can be happen. Now, what I just said there may sound simple, but they're technique. And Mike, thank goodness human beings are so damn predictable. Um, they really are. The emotional responses drive behavior, and everybody's the same in that regard. And therefore, science brings us a lot of interesting techniques and tools that if we can just understand and own, we can enjoy talking to these difficult customers. Because one thing about a difficult customer, when they call, they're usually not mad at you. They
Right.
end up leaving being mad at you because of how you handled it. See,
Right.
they're not mad at you. So what you can do is you can take that emotional energy, and if you can flip it to the positive, all that emotional energy goes to your credit, and they love you. I've seen more
Yes.
examples of this. And I'll give you the 6-step process that we train. Number one, you got to let the customer do the dump. There's an emotional release that happens, and they got to do it. You just got to listen and give evidence they can listen. That's step number two. You restate, rephrase what they said. Step three is you got to stay calm. You got to
Mm.
stay objective. Human nature is to get in there and take a defensive stance, right? Step number four is to validate what they said. By the way, it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. That's not the issue. It's not the issue. You validate whether they're right or wrong. Step number five is you raise the white flag, saying, I can understand why you're so upset. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you decided to even look for a different vendor for this solution, because this is tough. And that pattern interrupt, raising the white flag, pulls them out of that persecutor position. into an intellectual position, and then we ask the question, is there anything we can do to resolve this issue to your satisfaction? And watch that customer give you great ideas on what solutions could work. And then the customer loves you even more through the difficulty. Huge opportunity there. And again, it's just training. It's just practice. It's just understanding how to treat people in a way that makes them feel that they're in control and empowered. They love you. And I tell you what, a customer that loves you is a customer that won't leave you. So, yeah.
It's so great. And I just wanted to highlight, because I threw out the Sandler buzzword of the pendulum theory earlier, and okay, not okay, that what you just did is the example of those things that we teach. That if somebody comes in not okay with something, we can't smooth it out and tell them that they are okay. That's the mistake people make, as they go, oh, you're upset, but it's okay. You know, we're going to fix it. You don't have to be upset, and talking them down. Like, that's like, have you ever seen the parent screaming at their kids saying, calm down? You know, like, yelling at somebody to calm down is not going to help them calm down.
I've tried that, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so we got to go the other way. We got to get that pendulum swinging the other way. And like you said, when they're emotional, that means that there's a chance for this to move back the other way. We talk about in sales all the time. The dangerous ones are when people get to apathy and they've given up. They're not even going to call customer service because they don't care enough about the solution to even do anything about it. Yeah. So the fact that they're emotional means that they care. That means we can get them caring on the right side too, if we get this pendulum to swing back over. And it's so powerful. It's an amazing spot to end on there. If you need help with your strategic customer care, reach out to your local Sandler coach. You can go to sandler.com, find one by you, or if you're an enterprise organization, reach out to our enterprise team. We've been talking with Karl Schaphorst, who runs a regular strategic customer care program in Omaha and Des Moines. It's available virtually as well, so you can reach out to him on LinkedIn if you're in those areas. And Karl, I wanted to get to know you a little bit better before I let you go here.
Sure.
I probably already asked you all of my normal questions, so I'll ask you a fun one for strategic customer care. How would you define success in a customer service role?
Yeah, I think it's somebody who transforms from oh, this is just my job to man, I'm actually contributing to the success of the company. So there's your attitude transformation, which by the way, I really think they do. First of all, I think a lot of businesses need customer service. Look, if you don't have it, then your salespeople have to do it. And your salespeople are doing customer service and they're not out selling. And I have a feeling that selling function is worth a lot more to you because you have to pay a lot more for it. And it's a certain skill set that's a little bit harder to hire for than the customer service skill set. And so, boy, you want to have those people. And you want to raise them up so that they're just excited. And I love the idea that you mentioned, Mike, about maybe even tying them into the success of sales so that they can celebrate in the wins and even be more motivated to develop themselves, grow, and contribute to the experiences that the customers have. I tell you what, I think whether it's Sandler providing that training or something, we should not just expect it to happen because we tell them about our company and our products and they know how to pick up a phone. I think,
or the incentives. Sometimes you mess that up too. If you put the incentives in first without the training, they're going to go to where the money goes, and they're not going to keep doing what's in the best interest.
And it might be a bad experience, and that would be unfortunate. You bet. Yeah. So
now you are obviously an emotional and passionate guy, so I'm sure you have a favorite fail with customer success or a favorite win. Do you have a good customer care story that you like to tell, whether it's good or bad?
Well, I don't know necessarily about a fail other than the pandemic itself. It did kind of reveal to everybody how bad customer service teams really were. Because there was a lot of things happening that were out of the control of the customer service reps, ship dates being missed, prices going up, and it all fell to that team. And oh my goodness, in fact, customers were saying, I have to deal with horrible customer service, and I'm still doing business with this company because they were in so much pain. The pain of what they were in was greater than the pain that the customer service agents were creating. But now they can ask for that service again. And when it comes to just a great success, I personally when I am working with my sales clients, I wasn't really looking out to start this customer service training piece. It was my customers that were coming to me for it. And once we began to start this and build it, and even then make it an open enrollment type format, it was so easy for me to go to my existing customers and say, hey, should we put your customer service people in? They said, absolutely. Why? Because they believe in Sandler. They know Sandler works. And they know that helps build the Sandler culture throughout the entire business.
Culture
that was a huge win. That was a huge win. And it was just so easy. Normally, selling this stuff's not easy, Mike. It's not. But that was pretty easy. I think the hard work was already done, and we just had to go in and tell them that we can help their customer service teams. So,
love it. Last one. Do you have a favorite Sandler rule for customer care?
Sandler rule for customer care. The rules have been updated, and
so you can go old or new, old school, new school, or concept.
So I like this idea of not spilling the candy in the lobby, even for a customer success agent, because we always want to try to put the Band-Aids on what the customer's bringing us. But I really think that when customers call in for help, the issues they're bringing you are not the real issues. And so just to listen and then ask really good questions so they can really tell their whole story, you're going to raise your level of value that you can bring to that customer through that. So yes, you provide resources, you provide knowledge, but kind of gate check it first before you dump it to make sure that it is exactly what that customer needs. And I think your customer will love you for that. So. Don't spill your candy. That used to be Sandler rule number 2. I'm not sure what it is now.
It's not, and we actually changed it to be more sales focused, with just like save something for the presentation, which in customer success might be save something for the solution there. But I love what the one that you hinted at in your explanation, which is the problem the buyer brings you or the customer brings you is never the real problem. That is probably my favorite for customer care, because you have to inspect this thing. You have to figure out what the real problem is and what they're really upset about before you start solving the problem.
Yeah.
All right. You nailed it. Again, we were talking with Karl Schaphorst, Sandler in Omaha and Des Moines, longtime Sandler trainer. Reach out to him on LinkedIn or go find us at Sandler.com. Until next time, whatever good one, that's what I always say. And Sandler is the worldwide leader in sales management and strategic customer care training. For more information, go to Sandler.com. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Send it to somebody that you think needs to hear it. And join us in Orlando for the Sandler Summit. It is right around the corner. So right now, if you haven't done it yet, go to Sandler.com/summit, and we'll see you there. Have a great week, everybody.
Good luck, everyone.